Dobry wieczór. Tutaj William. Witajcie na cotygodniowym podsumowaniu polskich i irlandzkich wiadomości ze mną, Williamem Murphy. Our main stories this week include: Polish political leaders are united in their support of the democratic opposition and Belarusian sovereignty, as the Visegrad Group is to propose a Marshall Plan for Belarus if it moves to democracy. Criticism within the ruling bloc of the proposed COVID-19 immunity law for officials who break the law while acting in the public interest. A protest march takes place in Warszawa against proposed animal welfare legislation seeking to outlaw fur farming, with the Agriculture Minister warning of the political price to pay. And Poland finally makes it onto the Irish government's green travel list. The ongoing political crisis in Belarus, arising from that country's disputed August 9th presidential election, has continued to be a central concern in Poland over the past week. On Monday, a further cross-party meeting took place at the Prime Minister's office in Warszawa, with political leaders from across the political divide united in their support of the democratic opposition in Belarus as well as of a sovereign Belarus. Chancery Minister Michał Dworczyk said that all the politicians, regardless of their affiliation, the parliamentary caucus or group they represent, are single-minded about the most important issue, which is the sovereignty of Belarus, adding that no one should interfere in the internal affairs of Belarus. Dvorczyk specifically named Russia, with whose president, Vladimir Putin, Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko this week held talks in Sochi, the Russian Black Sea resort. Russia has offered extensive support to the embattled Belarusian president, including setting up a reserve police force for potential intervention if required, as well as promising economic assistance. Protests have continued in Belarus, with around 100,000 people demonstrating in Minsk last Sunday, in one of the largest protests to date. There have been ongoing reports of a brutal police crackdown on demonstrators and other human rights abuses. Poland will present a proposal for a large-scale programme of international economic assistance to Belarus that's been dubbed a Marshall Plan for the country, on behalf of the Visegrad Group of states at the next meeting of the European Council. The support will be conditional on a move towards democracy, including the holding of fresh presidential elections. The Polish government's highly controversial proposal to grant immunity, including retrospectively, to public officials who broke the law while allegedly acting in the public interest in the fight against COVID-19 looks to be in some difficulty, with indications that Solidarna Polska, a junior coalition partner led by Justice Minister Zbigniew Ziobro, is to oppose it. Solidarna Polska Sejm member and Secretary of State in the Ministry of State Assets, Janusz Kowalski, said on Tuesday that it's the duty of any public official to obey the law, not to take shortcuts. As of Wednesday morning, the total number of reported COVID-19 cases in Poland was 75,734, with 2,237 deaths attributed to the virus, the vast majority of whom already had serious underlying health conditions. Meanwhile, Poland is finally to be added to the Irish government's so-called green travel list, travellers to which are not recommended to restrict their movements for 2 weeks upon their return. However, Greece and Italy will both likely be removed from the latest iteration of the list, which will be reviewed next Monday. On Tuesday, Health Minister Stephen Donnelly said that the list will be updated to include countries where the incidence of COVID-19 is now less than 25 per 100,000 of population, which includes Poland, as well as Germany and Sweden. The airline Ryanair in particular has long called for Poland to be added to the list, among many other countries, due to its low incidence of COVID-19 infections per head of population. The green list will be abolished in any event next month, as Ireland moves to the EU's red, amber, green traffic light system. New rules on flights in and out of Poland came into effect yesterday, with scheduled passenger flights to and from France banned for the first time. Overall, the number of countries with whom scheduled passenger flights are prohibited came down from 44 to 30, many of which are countries with whom Poland would have no scheduled passenger connections in any event. Flights to Albania, Kosovo, Malta and Romania are now allowed. The new list will be valid until September 29th. Parliament is to vote on a new animal protection bill, which has been formally tabled by the ruling Prawo i Sprawiedliwość party, aiming to ban breeding animals for their fur, with the exception of rabbits, as well as the use of animals for entertainment. The ban would come into force within a year. A farmers' protest against the proposed new law took place in Warszawa on Wednesday, as the bill was due to be debated in the Sejm. Hundreds of people gathered outside the headquarters of Prawo i Sprawiedliwość in central Warszawa, with the crowd chanting Kaczynski, traitor to farmers. Prawo i Sprawiedliwość chairman, Jarosław Kaczynski, has long championed such a ban on animal welfare grounds. But the measure has caused divisions within Prawo i Sprawiedliwość, with Agriculture Minister Jan Krzysztof Ardanowski warning colleagues that it would cost the party electorally in rural areas. He was quoted as saying in a letter that the party's image loss will be permanent and very difficult to reverse, and impossible to compensate for by any other means before the next elections. Opponents of the measure claim that it will cause some farmers to go out of business. Poland produces millions of furs each year, with the industry employing an estimated 50,000 people. The case of the legal difficulties facing the former Transport, Construction and Marine Economy Minister in the previous Platforma Obywatelska government, Sławomir Nowak, has been in the news again this week. On Tuesday, it was reported that investigators probing an alleged bribery scheme while he headed Ukraine's transport agency, Ukravtodor, have seized over 4 million zloty in cash that was the proceeds of crime he was allegedly hiding, as well as other assets including 2 apartments. Nowak was arrested on July 20th by the Central Anti-Corruption Bureau as part of a joint investigation with authorities in Ukraine, and subsequently charged with managing an organised criminal group that benefited from corruption. The European Parliament on Monday held a debate on the rule of law in Poland, an issue arising from the government's judicial reforms, as well as on LGBT rights in the country. They debated a report on fundamental rights in Poland, prepared by the head of the Parliament's Committee on Civil Liberties, Justice and Home Affairs. Commission Vice President Vera Jourova said that the Commission would soon decide on how to proceed with its infringement procedure against Poland. Prawo i Sprawiedliwość MEP Patrick Jaki, a former Deputy Justice Minister, said that banning judges from political activity is a fundamental issue for the independence of courts. In your opinion, it violates the rule of law. On Tuesday, the government approved plans to increase Poland's minimum wage to 2,800 zloty per month, or approximately €630, from the beginning of next year. It's less than originally promised by Prawo i Sprawiedliwość, whose chairman, Jarosław Kaczynski, had pledged last September to increase the figure to 3,000 zloty for 2021 and to 4,000 zloty in 3 years' time. Poland's minimum wage rose to 2,600 zloty per month at the beginning of 2020, up from 2,250 zloty in 2019. However, the sharp deterioration in the economic outlook this year, due to the impact of COVID-19 restrictions, is being cited as the reason. Alina Nowak, the Deputy Family, Labour and Social Policy Minister, said that the economic slowdown had caused a change of plans. The average gross monthly wage in July was 5,381 zloty, according to official statistics. There has been a long-standing view among some economists that minimum wage laws run the risk of pricing certain categories of workers out of the labour market. Finally, on Monday, the Minister of Sport and Tourism, Danuta Dąbrowska-Andrzejuk, announced that athletes will compete in 24 sports during the 3rd European Games when they take place in Poland in 2023, making them the biggest such event since the inception of the Games. She, as well as Deputy Prime Minister Jacek Sasin, held talks in Rome with the European Olympic Committees, an organisation made up of the 50 national Olympic committees in Europe. Over 4,000 athletes from 50 countries competed in the second European Games in Minsk in June 2019. Sachin said he was glad that in 3 years' time Poland will be hosting almost 50 national teams and thousands of fans from our continent. To wszystko na ten tydzień. Zapraszam na kolejne podsumowanie za tydzień o te same proże. Dobranoc.